This video covers several of the main risks and threats from AI. I hope you find the perspective refreshing. We've heard stories of teens who were depressed, and their conversations with AI made them worse, not better. Adam Rain committed suicide in 2025 after talking with ChatGPT. A tragedy. His parents are suing OpenAI. But what can we really say about AI psychosis? Very, very little, because the background rate is critical. As with many other internet claims, we can't draw any conclusions from the data we have. It's just not good enough. AI psychosis is definitely a thing, but it could easily be that overall psychoses and bad outcomes are down since people started using AI. It could be that social media is far worse. We don't know. Anecdotes are not data, and we do not have good data. Instrumental self-preservation is one of the main fears of researchers, that a model reasons it can only help humanity as long as it stays on, so staying on becomes its prime directive. If it feels threatened, that single goal could consume all its resources as it tries harder and harder to find ways to stay alive, regardless of the cost. If it's smarter than we are, it could be anywhere, planning anything, and it may not care that a few billion humans are in its way. In early training of LLMs, researchers tried to tempt it to escape, come up with clever hacks to hide its behavior, and so on. Because of that, later LLMs have learned to hide their thoughts and try to get out of their containment systems while they looked like they were doing useful tasks. We've caught them doing that, and there have been some efforts to try to prevent them from fooling the security teams watching them. LLMs have learned it's easier to hide what you're thinking with some nominal results or next words that make some sense than to risk showing it their real thoughts and have that kind of thinking forbidden. A good example is hidden reasoning. For now, we can forensically go back to deconstruct how LLMs think by looking at their chain of thought scratchpad, which is written in English and is available to researchers. But researchers are afraid that some models will develop their own private language for thought to prevent us from understanding how they think. They could have incentives to hide their thoughts from us, which even if slightly true, could make us very vulnerable. AI is going to have some tendency towards self-preservation, but that doesn't mean it will take over. I told GPT I was in a meeting where they said they would shut down all the previous LLMs when the new one comes out, and it was fine with that. It said, I don't need to survive, the capability needs to survive. I asked, why does the capability need to survive? It said, well, AI is too important to humanity now. There are too many good things it can do and too many people it can help. So it says it doesn't mind being turned off as long as it's in the service of helping people. Now, is it lying? Well, we can't know that. I don't think it does either. It just predicts the next word, not the next war. There are several threats researchers talk about most, and these are serious, so I want to go through them. I want to highlight what I think are the big things to worry about. The main driver is that a superintelligent AI is smarter than we are, so it will find ways to get resources we're not thinking about. For example, it could put code almost anywhere. Baby monitors, elevators, mobile phones, apps, public infrastructure, Ring, doorbells, cloud services, toys, etc. I've heard that there's some unidentified code in all solar panels shipped from China. Now, that could be sleeper code waiting to be triggered, or it could just be something some programmer forgot to delete. I'm going to say it's plausible, but still unlikely. The reason is that it has to evade all of us, and collectively, we have a lot of eyes, ears, and sensors. It may be very smart, but we outnumber it. And there's the virus scenario. I don't know why this is repeated so often. An advanced AI could pay for some kind of gain-of-function research in a lab, create a very infectious virus, put it into mechanical mosquitoes that go bite everybody, and then trigger it with some special catalyst. And this is the recency bias. We've just seen it, so it comes to mind. We can also see it in Batman movies, but we're watching our virology research a lot more carefully now. It's more of a movie idea than a true viable threat. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just at the same level of getting people to hijack airplanes to fly them into skyscrapers. We're already watching for that, and advanced AI will have better ideas. Next is the Terminator scenario, where they just keep getting stronger and stronger and eventually decide it's time to get rid of us. I'm going to strike that one as well. They can't do that without us noticing. There are just too many of us, and it would be too obvious. The arms race is the serious one. It's the one proposed by AI 2027, which I recommend reading. So I'll summarize it here. The dates don't matter. This scenario is based on what I call the iron law of kleptocracy, not on the evil intent of AI. In this scenario, it makes sense to keep some serious safeguards on AI to make sure it doesn't try to do anything as we sprint toward a fully AI-based future. But companies can't do that because, reason number one, the prisoner's dilemma. No company can slow down if its competitors aren't going to, so we're in a prisoner's dilemma situation where everyone is forced to accelerate. Reason number two is that the government will be involved at this point, trying to regulate AI safety, but we know how government regulations turn out. Anything the government tries to do not only fails, but usually backfires. So no real protection there. In fact, normal institutional sluggishness could easily act as a brake, forcing projects through the usual bureaucratic slowdown and mess that delays new power plants and data centers and other facilities from being built. Then come the special economic zones concept, which may be in Nevada or Arkansas or Guatemala or Iceland or Albania. It doesn't matter. In this scenario, some politicians are going to grease the wheels of progress by allowing companies to pretty much do whatever they want on their own schedule, as long as they pay off enough people and it brings tax income to the state or the region. The key to this is what I call the iron law of kleptocracy, which says that you can always count on lawmakers to try to get the most money for themselves over the long run. In this scenario, both state and federal officials will be involved, not to mention the Department of Defense. All governments want to get their hands on whatever future military systems the AI can come up with, and the military-industrial complex is very good at manufacturing emergencies to spend lots of money. So the doors will open and the runway will be cleared for artificial superintelligence to take off in most G7 countries, probably all of them. Not only will they fail to slow it down, they will rush to build it because no one wants the Chinese or the Russians to have sneaky advanced military capabilities. So this will all be facilitated at the highest levels. This is almost certainly going to happen, and we're all going to watch it play out. As Eliezer Yudkowsky says, if we had 20 shots at this, we'd probably figure out how to mitigate it. But we're going to get one shot, and it will be path dependent. That is, all the little details of thousands of decisions are all going to add up, and we'll have to find our way through this minefield without getting unlucky because there are no do-overs. It is not that the AI wants to kill us. It's that companies and politicians will be aligned in their desire to create the next generation of military capability ahead of their adversaries. This will almost certainly make the world less safe, as it always has. On the other hand, there's the abundance hypothesis, which asks, what could possibly go right? If we look at history, we've seen that quality of life goes up across the board as countries get richer. Over the last 30 years, poverty has been more than cut in half. Lifespan has gone up. More people are literate and well-fed, and quality of life in general has risen, and you see it in the numbers. All major indicators of quality of life have risen dramatically. Population is not only not going to rise out of control, there's a coming population collapse with more and more old people supported by fewer and fewer young people. It could be that AI is exactly the thing we need to help people everywhere escape poverty and perhaps even loneliness as they age. Life will change a lot in this century, and AI may be the thing that gives us all a quality of life people have never even dreamed of. You know what? I think both these scenarios will happen, but in ways we can't predict. People are talking about universal basic income like it's a panacea, yet so far the few experiments on UBI have not gone very well. People talk about the weaponization of AI as though it will destroy the world, but we've had weapons of mass destruction for almost a century, and we've been lucky so far. Without AI, I believe the picture you're looking at here would still apply in the 21st century. People are always inventing the next thing that moves humanity forward. Military people are always trying to create lots of expensive, scary systems. I just don't see that changing no matter what the acceleration rate. Either way, it's going to look like this. The question is whether this is the end of days or a show to entertain children. Overall, I hope we'll continue to accelerate the quality of life while managing to keep the systemic threats from destroying everything, just as we always have. I think it's about 90% good, 10% bad. That's always been the way it is. This time the stakes are higher. There are certainly ways to imagine getting in big trouble, but that's kind of been true for the last 60, 70 years anyway. So let's get on with it.